What's going on? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I'm getting everything set up. What's going on? Can you guys hear me? Perfect. What's going on? Perfect, perfect. All right, let's get a couple more people in here. By the way, I did get a couple extra codes for this if some of you guys haven't already gotten in. I do have some extra codes if anybody's interested. But I know for this flight in particular, like, most people got in. Like, basically all you had to do was sign up. So, getting a code from me is actually more trouble than... No, you probably heard, my son's getting a bath right now. So you might have heard, like, the water running in the background. Under 5 seconds ago. Cool. All right. Well, I'm just gonna start playing. Yes, this is what it feels like to be early. Code is for Steam. Oh, okay. Gotcha. My thoughts on Halo Infinite so far. I think right now with Halo Infinite, with so many people, and this is just, it's the culture of gaming. It happens like literally every video game. Like, sounds like my PC fan. I'm not really close to my PC. I'm actually playing on Xbox right now. And that shit don't make no noise. The culture is to kind of get super, super hyped and excited, like, for everything. Like, I saw a video today where it was literally just, like, somebody got on top of a vehicle and flag capped, and they said, oh, Halo Infinite, this is so fucking good. Like, this is the best video game I've ever played. And it's like, that's been in basically every Halo game ever, even the ones we don't like. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, man, like, so... We're getting those really surface-level, visceral moments, and I do think surface-level-wise, this game has some good Halo traits, where it's just like, yeah, you know, that felt like Halo, that felt good. But we're not really going to know the full extent, like how deep it goes, until we really, really get elbow deep in the full experience. So I am pessimistic, because I feel like 343 kind of hides things sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, they always kind of try and put their best foot forward, and we already know some stuff's not going to be there, like Forge isn't going to be there. So I don't have anything bad to say right now, but it feels like I'm just kind of waiting. So I guess that's good that I've played it and I don't have anything horrible to say yet, if you want to look at it that way. I've just played too many games where, like, that initial impression is like, oh, wow, no. And then it's just 2 weeks later you're like, yeah, I don't really want to play that anymore. And so I don't know if Infinite is one of those games yet. Okay, Woods Beetle says, do I retroactively disagree with my Halo Infinite videos from 2018 to 2019? Like, which videos in particular? Because, yeah, I mean, obviously there's some videos I was just flat out wrong about, like when I said Halo 6 will be just like Halo 5. and obviously it's not. But I mean, when I made that video, the fact I was calling it Halo 6, and we've known about Halo Infinite for 3 years, just goes to show you how long ago I said that. Super Fluffy Toaster says shock rifle feels boring, no real reason to pick it up. Sorry, gotta get a little Dr. Pepper. It's basically a 2-shot kill. I feel like I got a 1-shot kill with it. Like, I'm wondering if there's like a sustained stream element, because I did shoot somebody one time and got a kill and got a perfect medal. So I'm wondering if there is a little bit of that kind of, what's that Promethean sniper rifle that had, like, where if you hold your shot down and you get the entire stream, you get the kill. Feels a little bit like that, but it also has the EMP effect because it's a shock weapon. Like, if you hit a Banshee with it 3 times, it EMPs it. So there's a little bit more to it, but I would say overall it feels kind of like, I feel like if you remove that from the game, you're not losing a lot. If that videos and others weren't made, I would have probably been right. That's one way to look at it. But it's hard to know just how much, and I wouldn't say like my feedback specifically, but just kind of the accumulation of feedback from people like myself and other content creators. Because for a while there, we were kind of saying we were pretty hyper focused on our feedback, and some of that was definitely listened to. Like, you know, it wasn't just like one person that made an art style video. It was like 6 or 7, right? So honestly, more than that, but 6 or 7 like super high profile ones. I dropped the best gun in the game, but I guess we'll roll with it. And obviously it got it done, right? Like, I feel like, you know, I feel like there's definitely a lot of feedback that you can see in this game where you're like, oh yeah, no, they listened to that, they heard that. Even this map design, like, look at this, looks like fucking Halo to me. I don't know about you guys. Look at that. I don't know what more I'm supposed to do with this gun.
Hostile perforated.
Okay. Look how, watch how bad I am. Reverse psychology. Look at that. Oh, I don't know. Felt good, Jim. I just need to get a real cheeky kill. Hail Mary. That's gonna get somebody. It's a good nade.
The enemy has your flag. The enemy carrier has revealed themselves. Low on ammo.
See, I told you. Yeah, 66 people, not bad. Considering how many other people are streaming right now. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let me read a couple comments real quick.
Enemy carrier.
Let's see. Wizbeetle says, my predictions for Halo Infinite gameplay. I'm worried about Halo Infinite, especially the Y classic Halo from 343 might be bad.
Enemy carrier revealed. After them.
Well, I think my predictions for Halo Infinite gameplay, I'd have to refresh on all that I said. Because there's obviously like different eras of what I thought this game would be. Like, there was one point where I thought, hey, this is gonna be just like Halo 5. And that didn't happen. And then there was an era where like, oh, they're gonna try and hit like this hybrid middle ground that isn't gonna work. And that kind of happened. Oh shit. By the way, like, I would rather there not be a giant ass. Like, the glare from the sniper rifle is as bright as the fucking sun. It is actually blinding, and I cannot shoot them properly. That's got to get toned down. Like, I would actually just rather them have a sniper rifle and kill me than to, like, blind me with, like, the frickin' sun. Alright. I like that you can pick these up. That's cool. Anyway, back to your question.
returned our flag.
I don't know yet. I don't know if the hybrid game is going to work out. I think this leans closer to classic Halo than it does like Halo 5. So it's not even like split down the middle. It feels skewed more towards the classic Halo games. So I don't even know if it's like a perfect middle ground like I kind of thought it was going to be. So I guess we'll see final release. And as far as did I think a classic Halo, a classic Halo by 343 might be bad? There's already some things I'm worried about, like the fact that there's no Forge, the fact that, you know, we're already missing certain features like campaign co-op. Like, I consider those really, really important, just fundamentally, just like what my vision for a classic Halo is, as far as like the type of game that you can build around it, which is something I've been preaching for a long time. Just the idea that because it's so simple and modular, you can build so much around it, and it's so flexible, and you can have so many options and so many game modes. And so the fact that you have that simple core, but we already know some of those game modes and options aren't going to be there. In fact, a really huge one like Forge, which is really the catalyst for that whole concept. Yeah, I'm a little concerned still. So to me, it's like, okay, they've started to understand certain things, and maybe it's not so much a lack of understanding, but just not, you know, some mistakes they made during development. Oh wow, I actually almost got him. That caused certain things to not happen. Try crouch jumping, it's not bad. Yeah, so sorry about the whole, sorry if I'm rambling. Like, I'm half paying attention to the game and mainly trying to answer the question, but also trying not to have horrible gameplay, which I already have so far. What's up, Ray? My main issue so far is the sound design, normally a point I love about 343's games.
Enemy flag carrier revealed.
Yeah, I mean, it has ups and downs. It's probably not my area of expertise. I'm definitely more paying attention to some gameplay stuff.
An ally captured the flag.
There's a little bit of clunk to the game, if I'm just being honest. So that was an example of... That's an example of Bloom. I'm probably going to talk about this in its own video. But that was a situation where he was about to go around the corner, and I had the commando rifle, and I thought, you know what? The only way I'm going to kill him is if I spam the trigger. If I play the slot machine gun and see if I get the kill. So I literally just held it down, let the RNG happen, and got basically one of the more optimal kill times with that gun. So that's just like another kind of unknown, kind of untalked about element of Bloom. I don't think it's as bad here as, say, you know, son of a bitch. I don't think it's as bad here as like in Reach, but it's not a great element, I don't think. Yeah, like Vakoni was saying, like, why are we making concessions to fix launch deadlines when they've had so much time? And I realized, like, they were working on an engine, there was a pandemic, it's still double the dev cycle of a regular game.
The enemy has your flag. Enemy carrier has revealed themselves. Ground vehicle delivery confirmed.
The Ghost moves faster if I drive it at an angle. I will take a look at that. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy more of the discussion instead of the gameplay. There are a lot better people who play this game, I'm sure, if you're just looking for crazy shit. So I will continue to focus more on the talking elements here. I like this map for the most part. The fact that it's designed for 24v24 and it still feels like a Halo map. I like its layout. I like the two-tower style, and it's kind of snaking through this winding canyon. I like it. It feels like Halo to me, just like the idea. Okay. So what do I have to do to get a kill with that gun? I'm telling you, like, if you line this gun up just right, it absolutely shreds.
An ally has taken the enemy flag. Our ammo reserves are low. Ground vehicle.
I actually really, the commando in BTB feels a lot better in my opinion compared to Arena. I really like its role in a BTB sandbox. The bloom element works better, I think, at these ranges.
Drop wall obtained. Ordnance incoming.
It's okay. Best gun. Probably just deked right here. What's wrong?
Returned their flag.
Why not? Try some vehicles out. Whatever.
Ordnance incoming.
Two-shot, only use vertical mode? If only one mode is useful, what's the point of having two? You know what I mean, Ray? Outplayed him.
Hostile. Riddled with buckshot.
So, why wasn't that a 4-shot? I'm just curious. Like, what did I do wrong? Please do something. Come this way. Fuck. I mean, you don't even need a laser sight on the sniper. That's, like, more important in games like Call of Duty, when a sniper's like a one shot to the kneecap. But in fucking Halo, like, if you get a kill with a sniper rifle, like, good for you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to alert people that the hardest gun in the game to use is being used by somebody. Like, just let them do it. What you got? Time to suck. You're gonna really like this one, guys. Okay.
Enemy has your flag.
Oh, I got him somehow. Alright. I didn't know what it did, but I'll take it.
An ally returned our flag.
So this is just kind of like brute shot-esque. I think it's... I actually might like it a little better than the brute shot. Hopefully that's not blasphemous, but the brute shot wasn't just like super incredible. There you go. do I feel about the weapon design? Definitely going in the right direction. I don't... Like, here's the thing. Like, we've seen weapons in this game that were in the original build of, like, that campaign demo. And already, like, they've changed a lot. Which means, I think, even from the time that we originally saw the campaign demo of this game has been going through some refocusing of their, like, design principles. So, I think this game is on the right track for weapon design, but I really think if this wasn't a 10-year game and we were going to get, you know, another Halo in a couple years, or 3 years or so, it would have been really interesting to kind of see what that game could have started with. You know what I mean? Do I like the outline system? So, I was initially worried functionally that it was going to be hard to identify threats. And so far, it hasn't been. Like, I've been able to... I haven't really gotten confused like I was worried about it. But I don't really just like the aesthetic of it. Like, it... Fine, you know what? Fuck. I guess one thing I don't like is just... It feels like it separates the Spartans from the world. Like, I feel a little more disconnected. It's a little more gamey, I guess. Like, just all of these blue outlines, like, running around. Here, let me get in, bro. There we go. And even just little things like that, plus, like, phasing through other Spartans instead of interacting with them physically. So little things like that, I feel like, have kind of decreased immersion a little bit. It's not the end of the world. Look at me go. Like, my gun is better than the chain gun.
You're beginning to make this look easy.
Oh, how? Do you think a video game can go through a second golden age, and if so, how likely is it? So do you mean like a video game, like a single game? Or are you talking about like a franchise? Like, can a game like be super popular and then kind of go down a little bit and then like blow up again? Because I'm pretty sure that's happened. But if you're talking about like franchises, yeah, absolutely games can do that. I mean, look at something like Resident Evil, where it was like on top of the world with 4, and then from the span of 5 to 6, people thought, well, this franchise is completely hopeless. And then they came out with fucking Resident Evil 7, which was just phenomenal. So, you know, that game did it. Halo can do it. Good for you. How did he got a double? He actually just got somehow a double headshot snipe off a man cannon. I will probably be in somebody's montage and or clip if it was as good as that feed looked. I don't know if God of War ever had like a downside. It had like Ascension, which was kind of like this, whatever. So RE5 was cool. 6 was not in a good direction. Thoughts on the assault rifle and the discussion of it being overpowered? I think for me to fully explain my thoughts on the assault rifle, I would have to be so all-encompassing. Like, it would actually probably take me a solid, like, 40 minutes to fully explain why I don't think a powerful assault rifle is good for the game. Basil says, I think RE2 Remake really won over the RE community. I mean, I think that game solidified RE's comeback because Resident Evil 7 came out, and I think it surprised people. People were like, whoa, like, 7's actually good. Like, wow, this actually feels like Resident Evil. I thought they were just chasing, like, the first-person horror game trend, but this game feels fucking awesome. And so I think people were like, okay, 7 was pretty good, what do you got? And then they dropped Resident Evil 2 Remake, which was like Game of the Year contender for 2019, and it was really fucking good. Like, it was like, oh my, like, this game's fucking good. And then Resident Evil 3 was okay. I think the fact that most people are like, it's too short and you wanted more of it is like, it's not a bad game, it just wasn't as good as 2. And then I think Village is interesting. I like Village. I was actually playing Village earlier today, going through a hardcore run, and I think it's good, and I don't think it's a setback per se, but I think it's unfocused. You think it needs a range nerf? Maybe. Oh, I'm already in the game. Is this just Slayer? What is this? Oh, it's just Slayer. This is my first just like pure Slayer game that I've gotten to play in big BTB. I do not think an assault rifle meta would be a healthy game. I think you want it to be useful. You want it to, you know, just not be like, oh, why would you ever use that sort of gun? Like, which is, when people say, oh, I don't want the assault rifle to be that good, people assume you just want it to be absolute dog shit. I don't, and no one really wants that. But if it's good enough to where it dominates the game, or it disincentivizes you from using guns that have an interesting skill gap, that's when it's not good for the game. I swear, that gun is weird. Yeah, take out the headshot damage, because it's RNG, right? You have an RNG gun. If there's headshot damage, and I'm not 100% sure, but it feels like there is. If there's headshot damage on an RNG gun, where you're just randomly getting headshot multipliers, then yeah, that's not good. That's just like, you know, you're just like shooting a fucking slot machine. You always want there to be an intentionality to engagements. Like what I'm doing right here. Like, what I just did took absolutely nothing. Like, who cares? Like, that guy had a skill-based weapon and I had this, and there's nothing he could do. Just absolutely outplayed him. Just outplayed him. I guess I got him. And see, that's where, like, the gun works. Like, at that range, you're like, yeah, okay. Alright. But here's what's interesting. It's not that automatics can't be skillful, right? The commando rifle is an automatic, and I like it. It's fine. Right? So it's not like, oh, it's automatic, it can't be good. It's just, you know, it has to be designed delicately. Like, there's things that sound good on paper, like, oh, every gun should be useful. Like, that sounds good. Like, that makes sense. Like, you say that, and it almost just sounds like it's pure fact. Like, it's not even debatable. Like, you just take it for what it is. But if you really get into, like, what the implications of that are, it's like, oh, every gun should be good. What if guns that aren't good for the game are good? You know? And it's like, oh, do you really want that to be good? I don't. Sure, I'll use this one. And I'm not saying that's what the assault rifle is. I'm just saying don't just listen to something like that and assume it's true. Like, you have to, like, really get down to it. Like, well, is this particular gun and the playstyle that promotes, is that good for the game? If so, okay, promote it. If it's, you know, frustrating, or it's not conducive to a healthy meta, or it's not something that's going to promote growth, or, you know, mastery, or, you know, depth, or, you know, the willingness to continue to play and get better, then it's not good for the game. Alright. I'm going to show off with this thing. I'm going to show you how good I am. I know it looks like I've been bad this whole day, but you guys just wait for this kill right here. Wait for this kill. Bam. You guys thought I was bullshitting just now. I'm not even done. I'm not done.
Ordnance incoming.
There's a warning shot.
Low on ammo.
Okay, so that has a pretty gnarly drop-off, which I actually appreciate. Oh, that would have been good. Alright. It feels like they upped the reload animation on that, thank God. Big Bird says, BR starts discourage weapon pickups because it's the most powerful. So why is that? Like, why does it have to be the most powerful? You know, because, and I think the problem is we always reference old Halo games that had BR starts. First of all, they didn't have BR starts. They had AR starts. But they switched to BR starts because the BR was more interesting. And the BR was more interesting even in the context that it nullified the rest of the sandbox that weren't designed to have BR starts in the first place. So if you embrace BR starts from the get-go and you made the BR the standard that every other gun had to get to, then you could make a game where you had BR starts and you had the benefits of a BR with all of the other guns also still being useful. So that is not true. It's all about design. It's all about how you make your game. There's never been a Halo game made from the ground up where it's like, the BR is our gun, we're using the utility weapon concept, and the rest of our sandbox is going to be designed around that. There has never been a game in Halo history that did that, but I would be really interested to see that game made.
Ground vehicle requisition.
What, stupid? Alright, I'll get rid of it. I don't really get the dynamo grenade yet. It doesn't feel super great. Yeah, Halo 2 was not built with the BR in mind at all. It was actually built with the SMG in mind. Like, that game's default is SMG starts. That doesn't disprove what you said. What is your point? Well, it does disprove what you said. You said starting with a BR negates the rest of the sandbox. And I said, not necessarily. Not if you build the rest of the sandbox to make sure that they don't do that. Which you're not going to have if you build your sandbox around an assault rifle. Like, how does it not disprove your point, actually, if you really think about it?
Ordnance drop inbound.
Like, if BR negates rest of sandbox, make the rest of the sandbox better.
Just wasn't enough that time, Spartan.
Does it negate the sniper rifle? No. Does it negate the shotgun? No. Does it negate the rocket launcher? No. Does it negate the needler? No. It just negates a couple guns because those guns were designed to mainly be starting weapons, like the assault rifle or like the plasma rifle. And even then, plasma rifle wasn't designed to be comparable to a battle rifle. It was designed to be comparable to the assault rifle. If you took elements from Halo CE, like where the plasma rifle had stun, where it also slowed you down when you shot, and you added utility to weapons instead of just like, oh, let's make it super powerful, then you could absolutely have VR starts. What would a sandbox designed around the BR look like? Great question. There's like a 2-year-long battle with a script that I'm making. That I am making. I will go through it all. Was Bungie not entirely committed to the concept of the utility keystone weapon, if I am understanding you correctly? Absolutely not. They did not want that to happen. They always designed around the SMG or the assault rifle. In fact, the Halo 3 version of the battle rifle, the reason it's so shitty is because they thought the Halo 2 battle rifle was so strong, and they didn't want it to be. They wanted it to be like an effective range, mid-range weapon. But the fact that that gun still became the starting weapon and the dominant weapon in that game just goes to show you how powerful the concept is. So my mindset is embrace the concept and build the game around it, instead of trying to like start out with this idea where it's like, oh, you have to start out with something garbage or something limiting and then find a better gun. That's not true. Like, even in Fragmentation, you start with an assault rifle. There's 3 precision weapons within 10 feet of you. Like, within seconds. It's like, there's a commando, there's a shock rifle, there's a battle rifle. So, like, if you want to, if you're going to give them everybody, you know. Yes, exactly.
Seize their flag.
Let me read a couple things.
Defend our own.
I'm reading comments, one sec. So here's what's interesting. You know what? We've started the discussion, and the reason I'm so passionate about it is because this is my current script, and I have it all like readily available in my mind, and I really want to like just continue to be like, oh, guess what, guys? Think about this. Think about this. Think about this. Like it's going to be a really interesting video. I'm really excited to make it. It's just not a great time because right now it would be seen as like a criticism of Infinite, and that's actually not what it is. So there we go. That's what should happen. I should win that if they're using an assault rifle. So that's fine. Like, that's a decent range. The assault rifle can't hurt you too bad there, or although they could have been just bad. So I am going to withhold some points that I really almost just started to make. And I've already kind of said more than I wanted to about it. But yeah, I don't want to drop it necessarily, because right now it would be seen as a criticism of Infinite, and truth be told, is a video that's it's been underway and under construction, so to speak, for like 2 to 3 years for me. So it is definitely not like a I hate Infinite video. Uh-oh. Big Bird says, VR starts in Infinite would negate half the weapons already in the game. If they make half the other sandbox more powerful than VR, then the half the weapons would be nearly one-shot guns. First of all, I don't think that's true, because even the assault rifle can go toe-to-toe with the battle rifle at most ranges. But yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Because Infinite has AR starts. It's designed them for AR starts. So yes, just like I was saying, people would think I'm talking about Infinite specifically, and I'm not. I'm talking about a theoretical game that does not exist. If you did that to Infinite, yeah, you'd have ramifications for that, because Infinite is a game designed around the assault rifle. Then if you move the battle rifle into, you know, the driver's seat, then you'd have problems. But that's exactly what I was talking about.
An ally returned our flag.
Well, another thing is the infinite battle rifle is not how I would design the battle rifle. It's a hit scan gun, and it's super, super easy to use. It just is. Like, it just is. It's just basically a fact. Can I get up here? Nope. He has a rocket launcher, by the way, and I am going toe to toe. Again, it's like, oh man, people always base their opinions, and this makes sense because it's what most people do. They base it on, like, they'll hear something and then they'll apply it to something that already exists. When I'm thinking in my head about a game that doesn't necessarily exist, right? I'm not saying like, oh, the battle rifle. When I say, hey, the battle rifle should be Halo starting gun, people think, oh, it's Halo Infinite's battle rifle, or Halo 2's battle rifle, or Halo 3's battle rifle, and I'm like, no. Maybe it's a completely new version, like the one that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I don't necessarily like the way Halo Infinite's battle rifle is designed. I think it's a little too good. It's a little too easy to use. It just, you know, it melts people from across all ranges. I prefer projectile-based weapons, and when you have a projectile-based weapon, that kind of self-balance itself at range. And it increases the skill gap, and you might have the exact same perfect kill time as this battle rifle, but the average kill time is way longer. Then you have a whole lot more design space to work with, if that makes sense.
They have our flag.
Like that, like...
Enemy carrier revealed. After them. Ground vehicle en route.
Ally has taken the enemy flag.
And I'm not saying the battle rifle in this game is bad for the game that it's in. I'm just saying if you were to really embrace the battle rifle starts, I probably would have a different version.
An ally returned our flag.
A more projectile-focused version. And that's another thing, like having a weapon that, the starting weapon like the assault rifle, even if it's like, oh, it's a close range weapon, that causes other issues. Like for instance on, can't remember if this is in my script. If it's in my script, I'll leave it alone. Yeah, it is in my script, I gotta
An
leave it alone.
ally returned our flag.
Cool. I'm noticing I got a little bit of a chug right there, but overall, there's a lot less chugging than there has been. I will go through and read some comments because I've been talking for a little bit without really taking a hard look at some of the responses to what I've been saying. After I die with the skewer, I'll do it. Oh, that probably cracked his visor. Should have used this gun.
Out of ammo, Spartan. Ordnance incoming.
Close range. Ah, okay, I'm gonna read some comments.
Requisition.
Alright, let me read. Vote weaponless starts. Separate range weapons, blah blah blah. Let's keep seeing. Okay, cool. Big Bird says, I think talking about BR starts in a hypothetical Halo game is pointless now. Everyone is trying to get feedback for Infinite, so of course they will misunderstand what you're saying. Well, yeah, but like I just said, that's why I'm not doing it, right? That's why I haven't dropped it yet. That's why I'm like, is this the right time for that? Maybe I could put it in the incubator a little bit, and instead of dropping it without Infinite being a consideration, maybe I could wait for Infinite to be fully realized so that I could make a better video. And then like actually make my video based on some of the things Infinite's doing. Because if Infinite is improving things that I've already said in my video need to be improved, then I can say, hey, yeah, no, that's already good now. Or if it introduces new problems, then I could be more reactive to it. So that's why I'm being a little patient with that one. And kind of take, you know, I mean, I've waited like 2 years to formulate it, so what's a couple more months? I'll have more stuff before then, though, so don't worry. I'm so good. I'm so good. Wow, I'm really good at the game.
Incredible performance, Spartan.
Grapple shot obtained.
Oh, fuck. So somebody said, why not...
An ally has taken the
Somebody
enemy
said,
flag.
why not give the AR drop-off range? Another thing you could do is just... And again, it's too late, but what I would do is just make the AR projectile-based. Like, projectile weapons self-balance themselves at range. You can still kill people out there. Like, if you have a really, really good game, the skill gap increases over time. The skill gap is not just this static thing. Like, oh, it's harder to use out there, but it's still just as good. So you could, you know, keep it just as powerful as it is. You don't have to just, like, artificially say, oh, the gun is useless at this point, at, you know, at the X point. You could just make it a projectile weapon where it becomes increasingly harder to use the farther away somebody is. And then if you get a kill with somebody, you know, from here to there, and they're, you know, it's like, okay, well, they're probably not strafing, they're probably being really bad if they're not able to avoid a projectile weapon.
An ally has taken the enemy flag.
Big Bird says, yeah, I don't care if a hypothetical Halo game is designed around that. I'm talking about how Halo Infinite would be bad with BR starts with how they designed it. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's fine. I think you'll probably still see BR starts in the competitive format. And some of the sandbox will be negated a little bit. But I still anticipate you seeing that. And keep in mind, like, if there was a BR starts Halo game where they really, really embrace that from day one, you could still have AR starts. And, like, even if the sandbox wasn't, like, perfectly in tune with it, it's still okay. Like, you can still just pick up better weapons that are now actually probably going to be even better on average because they're trying to compete with a battle rifle. Like, you could still have AR starts in a BR starts game, just like we've historically had BR starts in AR starts games. In fact, even in the AR starts games, most of the time it's primarily BR starts, just because that's kind of won out. You know what I mean?
Ordnance incoming.
SR388 says, I'd like the CE assault rifle. And yeah, like, that's another model. You could even reduce that spread, lower the projectile speed, make it a little bit harder to hit your shots at range. And then it has that really big clip. It has some interesting melee variables. It has quick camo functionality where you turn invisible faster when you have it compared to the pistol. And, like, you know, it has some utility. And, you know, you could definitely do that. What is this? Is this one of those loot cave things? I've never even gone in here. How do I do this? Oh. We're in trouble though. Nope.
An ally returned our flag.
Huh.
Enemy returned their flag.
Cool, we did it.
Frag obtained.
Okay.
An ally has taken the enemy flag.
The thing about the Halo 3 assault rifle, again, people just say, "Oh man, it's awful," and people just accept that as fact. You have to remember, Halo 3 had no movement. When you're shooting somebody with a Halo 3 assault rifle, it is basically just a kill timer. Just basically just like, oh yeah, like you have this long before you kill me, because I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think. I can literally just shoot you with this gun and you die because you can't get out of the way. So that's why they had to make it so, hey, other guns have to outshoot you. Other guns have to be able to turn on you. If you ambush somebody with that gun or are in melee range with that gun, they're dead. They have no chance. My dog got put in the room. Sit.
The enemy has your flag.
I don't have opinions, I have facts. Miss when all weapons were projectile based. It made them so much more believable and fun. I think really it's just I think it's good for the game. I mean, it has other problems like, hey, you know, if there's some lag in the server, they can really, you know, shit themselves. But we have so many, you know, battle royale games that primarily use projectile based weapons. Like, clearly, if it's good enough for games with like hundreds of people, I think Halo could do it. There's a lot of improvements that have been made in the 10 years.
They have our flag.
That nade might get him. Am I gonna upload soon? Might make a little video. I'm probably gonna make little vignettes leading up into Halo Infinite, because I don't. By the time I make a video, the news has changed. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh man, like my video on the first tech test where I was gonna be super all-encompassing and like talk about everything. It's like old news now, because here we are in the second tech test, and I just don't have time with my schedule to really be a news reactive channel where I talk about all of the new Infinite stuff. So I'm gonna just try and talk about little things at once. So Big Bird says all weapons in Halo are projectile based. So Big Bird, just do me a favor. That's like the most reductive argument in the world. Can we just talk about like the functional stuff? Because functionally, there are games that have projectile weapons in the sense that you lead your shots, and then functionally there are Halo games where you don't, and it's functionally hit scan, right? So when we say hit scan versus projectile, we get it. Technically, it's just projectile speeds turned up into infinity. I know that. Most people know that when they're talking about it. It's just really reductive and slows the conversation way down when we have to kind of do that song and dance of explaining how it technically works, when we already have a good functional way of explaining how it works. You know what I mean? No, I know. And I'm a little grumpy old man when it comes to that, because just I hear it all the time. Every single time it gets brought up, it's like, well, actually, and then there's like, oh no, it's actually delayed hit scan, or no, it's projectile, but the bullets are super fast. And it's like, okay, how about with just like, which one do you lead your shots in? You know. What's your opinion on BTB so far? Yeah, I don't really like how the vehicles spawn either. It feels like it just takes... Like, there's not a lot of vehicle action. And I feel like with 24 players, there should be more. I don't think the issue... Donnie says maybe we could have AR and BR starts. I don't think the issue is which one should start. I think it's how should they compete with one another. Because every Halo game's going to have game modes where you start with either or. Like, every Halo game's had AR or BR starts. You know, depending on which competitive format you were using. So I don't think that's the issue. I think it's more, what should their roles be? What should the sandbox be around them? How should they, you know, compete with each other? Because I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, the assault rifle should be good. You should be able to just use it as is. And I think it's more like a weapon because it's easy to use. You should have to use other elements along with it to kind of get it over the edge. Oh yeah. Really like all the interaction, guys. Like all the comments coming in.
An ally has taken the enemy flag.
I don't know if the Bungie era gun sounded crunchy. Yeah, I like fragmentation.
Enemy returned their flag.
Fragmentation feels, I like it. It's homey. It's homey.
Repulsor obtained.
I don't know if it feels, like, legendary. Like, oh my god, like, I hope they remake Fragmentation in Halo 7. But, again, I look at a lot of what Infinite's doing is like, okay, we've rerouted, we're on the right track, we're making things that look like Halo, we're making things that feel more like Halo. Like, this is good. I think my concern, though, is that because it's a live service game and they're trying to build on this for 10 years, that we're not going to get the reactivity where when they kind of, you know, start from scratch for the next game. Instead, it's always going to have to be, you know, fit around the Halo Infinite shell. Yeah. Hex Reapers designing sandbox around a proper utility weapon really needs to be explored. Yep. That's kind of, that is a major point of my new video. That's basically like the first half of it. And then the other half explains kind of how to do the rest of it. But I really think I have some stuff that when I hear it, people will be like, oh, I see why you think that way, Fav. Like, now I get it. You're not just a purist. In fact, you want something really that's never really been done before. And I think it'll be interesting. It's intimidating because it's so new, and I realize that people are going to apply it. They're going to be like, oh, how does this apply to Halo 2 or 3 or Reach or Infinite? And I really, in my heart, want it to just be applied in general as kind of like its own thing, starting from scratch. Gears of War is pretty much designed around a utility weapon in a way, and it plays very well. I wouldn't say it's a Gears is interesting because it's not a utility weapon in the fact that it kind of does everything, right? The utility weapon is like, oh, it's good at close range, it's good at medium range, it's good at long range. The Gnasher doesn't do that in Gears, but what the similarity is that both games start you off with an incredibly competent weapon that promotes a specific playstyle. So in Halo, the BR promotes a playstyle where you can basically take part in every single engagement. And you're always competent. You're never going to get snowballed. You can always, you know, compete. And in Gears, it's like, okay, well, it promotes really aggressive, you know, really make use of the movement.
Well, ricocheted.
Fantastic work.
So I wouldn't say it's a utility weapon, but I know why those two get compared a lot.
Drop while acquired.
All I'll say about my video is that the sandbox I want for Halo, it's only ever existed as a proof of concept. It has never been done. It would be like a new thought process.
Ally has taken the enemy flag.
I thought I would get enough burst on that.
Our team took the enemy flag.
My finger does not
Enemy
move fast
returns
enough
their
for that
flag.
gun.
Ordnance drop inbound.
Fuck! That'd be cool. Pistol only starts? I think pistol only starts would work if you were going for more of a strictly upgrade your gun type of deal. You know what I mean?
An ally has taken the enemy
The thing that's
flag.
interesting about the pistol in this game is that it's designed to be a sidearm. I talked about this in my my dual wielding video, where if you designed the weapon, like it has a faster draw speed than any weapon. It's ready to fire faster than any weapon, which means it needs another gun to really fulfill its niche. So if you made it the starting weapon, it wouldn't have that niche. You know what I mean? Oh shit! Just got super punched. What time is it? 7:46. Okay. I wonder what happens when you swing the hammer, like that. This particular hammer. Yeah. Why does this flag spawn here? I thought the flag spawned over here. Do they have like dynamic flag spawns?
An ally has taken the enemy
It's kinda
flag.
weird. Maybe it changes depending on how many flags have been captured. Like it makes the first flag easier to capture, or something.
Enemy returns their flag.
Impression on the shock rifle is that it is pretty I don't know. It's kind of one of those guns where
En route.
it feels like a gun they gave up on. Like they had this gun and they didn't really know what to do with it, and just kind of fucking like whatever. Make it a 2-shot kill.
Ordnance drop inbound. Cut down to that trail of hard life.
Fuck. Flag spawns move with each capture? Cool. That makes sense. It's kind of an interesting idea. Probably couldn't do it on maps that weren't bigger like they are in Infinite. Have I tried the melee reloaded melee combos? Yeah, of course. Come on, dude. I just don't use them because, you know, probably not. No point in getting used to them. Assault rifles!
Enemy has your flag. Banshee inbound.
BXB is hilarious. Yeah. Hilarious that it's lasted this long in development. Oh look, they're pushing the flag. Why have a mongoose when you can just push the flag? I don't mind the flag having some physics-based elements. And that's, you know, I don't know if that's been the case before, but to probably have the interactions with shit, like where you can grapple it and whatnot. Some of the side effects they're running into are like, well, you could literally just fling it across the map, or you can just push it with a ghost. What would be good ways to expand melee? So melee's actually been, like, made less interesting over the course of the Halo franchise. Halo Combat Evolved had the most in-depth melee system. Oh yeah, good nade. God damn it.
Enemy returns their flag.
Yeah, it's gonna be removed. I'm pretty sure they said it was already fixed in new builds. He almost got me. I had 2 shots in him with a battle rifle, and he started to kill me. And I think I only missed 1 shot. 1 or 2. That's the thing, it's like... I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about it anymore. We talked a lot about it. I've seen the leaked weapons. I've seen like some screenshots. I haven't really looked into them as far as like what they do.
Enemy carrier has revealed themselves.
Like that, he shouldn't win. He actually shouldn't win there. I did not miss a shot, and I actually couldn't get a 5th shot off to land a headshot. You basically have to have... I had to have like perfect shots. I would have had to have landed that 4th shot as a headshot to beat a fucking assault rifle at like a decent range. That wasn't even like hyper close range until he eventually got rid of it.
The enemy has your flag. An ally captured the flag.
Oh wow, we actually tied it. Fuck.
Revealed. After them. The enemy carrier has revealed themselves.
Sure. What is that? Yeah. I do not like the pistol, mainly just because I can't fire as fast due to some old baseball injuries. So I can't just spam the trigger. Yeah, see. What the? That was a huge lunge. Well, I'll tell you one thing. The BTB in Infinite is a lot better than the BTB in Halo 5. Am I right, guys?
Enemy carrier revealed. After them.
Fuck.
Enemy
Well,
captured.
that was short-lived.
Flag.
Ordnance drop inbound.
Alright.
Not going out on a loss, Spartan. One more match.
Alright guys, my son is asleep. I'm gonna play one more game, but I am gonna have to wrap it up for the night. He sleeps right next door, and I definitely don't want to wake him up. That's why I got on earlier. Just like get in there before he goes to bed. Yeah, Halo 2's melee was a little inconsistent. Yeah, I wouldn't say Halo's ever had like super compelling melees. My opinion on radar. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like, hey, wisdom is everything. Good to hear from you again. I have a question. Do you think Infinite's multiplayer can be enjoyed casually, or do you think it's too sweaty like Halo 5? Appreciate your feedback. Yeah, I think it'll be enjoyed casually. When you have weapons like the assault rifle that are as good as they are, they're literally as good as they are for the casual audience. So the fact that it still feels super, super sweaty is kind of interesting. I think what you have is a game that is currently being played by people who are super, super into Halo, that are following it, that are like, you know, joining the insider flight, that are watching all the Twitch streams. The reality is that when this game goes free to play and you have millions and millions of people who don't follow the game online in the game, it'll feel less sweaty just because of that. But it also feels sweaty because everything's hyper lethal and there's not a lot of variance. One of the things I think made Halo 3 so competitive but also good casually is because its weapons had a pretty big skill gap, and there wasn't a high level of lethality. Like the assault rifle wasn't super, super lethal. It wouldn't just melt you instantly and send you respawning. Like you could kind of be like, oh, I'm getting shot, I'm okay. And even the battle rifle had some bullshit spread and projectile. It was harder to use. And so it wasn't just like a death sentence as soon as you started getting shot by it. So, ironically, I think this idea that making all the guns super, super lethal and good to get kills with makes it feel a little intense for new players when they're just like, holy fuck, like I'm fucking dead. But we'll see.
Become a raging tornado.
My favorite thing about Infinite so far is that it is a step in the right direction. I can say that. I don't know if we're all the way there. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I'm almost more interested. What the fuck?
Explosives successfully deployed.
Incredible performance, Spartan.
Okay, so that's 2 shots that didn't get a kill. Would nerfing the AR's damage against shields make it more balanced? I think slightly nerfing the fire rate while slightly reducing the spread would make the gun more consistent, but less perfect kill time. And you could have a weapon that still feels powerful with less RNG, but could still get outplayed by guns that deserve to be able to outplay it. Like, you could literally, like, nerf its damage and then even buff other elements of it. Like, I don't care. I think it's just... It's damaging for it to have as high a lethality as it potentially has. Like, even this gun, like, I don't know how you outplay this gun. Like, sometimes you have enough time to do something, and sometimes you're just, like... I guess you just have to hope that the other person's bad, like that guy was. Like, that guy was just lucky I was bad. He's also lucky that my RNG didn't... Okay, so that's my example. There it was, folks. I have to be quiet for my son. But I shot that guy over there, and he lived. Because RNG Bloom. That guy had a fucking overshield, and I perfect killed him in like 2 seconds. Just saying. That's the dichotomy of the gun. That's the slot machine. That guy lived, got lucky, bad RNG, couldn't refocus my aim. That dude looked like he literally had some overshield left, and I perfect killed him. Lethargic Kitten, thanks for the $50, dude. He says, I'm 100% that Halo Infinite is still not our game. 343 backed off the Halo 5 stuff, but there's still too much wrong that A, won't be fixed, or B, will be made worse. The gameplay is less Halo 5, but 343's design philosophy still isn't in the right place. I would say, yeah, say I agree with that. I'd say we weren't quite there yet, but the game's made encouraging strides. Like, if this was just like a regular Halo release, I would be super stoked to just be like, oh man, like, yeah, like, so keep this, don't keep that, keep it. But instead, we're going to try and like constantly, you know, try and make this game. Ah! Oh, that. Not work. So Big Bird says, I think nerfing it would be bad for the noobs who join the game because they will rely on the gun and will be frustrated and confused when they don't get kills. So, if noobs get kills against good players with easy-to-use guns, then I actually think that's bad for a game. Long term. I know, I have to be quiet. Thanks, BLACS1990. Thanks for sticking with me all these years. Thanks again, Lethargic Kitten. Big fan. Big fan of you, Lethargic Kitten.
Wheels en route.
Alright, let's keep going. I just realized this was a Slayer game. I like this reticle, though. Can I EMP this? No, it doesn't do it. Noah says, geez, fans are still complaining about Halo not being Halo 3. It's a new game. Play it if you want to. I personally love it and have played the game since CE. I've read your exact comment like 3,000 times, Noah. Like, when no one's saying we want Halo 3 again. We spent like an hour talking about weapon sandboxes and how it'd be interesting to have a sandbox that has literally never existed in a Halo game again. It's not always about going back. It's just moving forward in different ways. And we're just expressing the idea that because Infinite is a 10-year game, it's going to be less reactive. It's going to have the same core. And whatever problems are going to be found are going to... And see, RNG lost that time? Hey, buddy. Yeah, watch out.
Our ammo reserves are low.
Oh, shit. All right, well. Someone asked me what I think about the chatter. I think we're wasting a little too much money. Like, just pay Jeff, have him do his thing. That's what everybody likes. Instead, we literally have like 3 different voices going on. We got like our AI, we have like this Commander Palmer stand-in, and then we have Jeff, who isn't even in this mode. And it's just like, I don't know. I feel like there's more elegant solutions. We're overcomplicating it. Game's almost over. I'll get a quick assault rifle kill. Maybe I should shoot him with a pistol. Can I? There it goes. Let's see if I can long range him. Game's gonna end. I gotta get a heat wave kill in. Game's over.
Ordnance incoming.
Got it.
Touchdown in a hail of hard light.
Just
Perfect
wasn't
shot.
enough that
Clutch.
time, Spartan.
That was the clutchest shot in a game that was lost by like 20 points. What do I feel that this game does different compared to, say, any other shooter? It's a really good question. I think the elements that make it unique are Halo elements. You know what I mean? Like, the things that make it stand out are the things that are unique to Halo. It's not that this game has done anything specifically in itself, but it has gone back to certain, you know, traditional Halo elements that would have always been there. I don't think any of its changes or its new additions or its ideas particularly stand out and make it different. Like, I don't think its gameplay changes, like with the slide and this, you know, whatever 10% sprint. I don't think that makes it like, oh yeah, like we're big time now. All right, let's stop shitting on Noah though. Sorry, Noah. It's not about that. Look at Green Skull and others. Just enjoy it. Be hyped. Yeah, there are definitely flaws. Okay, we can shit on Noah again. Noah, stop copy and pasting Reddit comments. Like, think for yourself. That's great that Green Skull's hyped. Cool. I like Green Skull. Talk to Green Skull. But the problem is that every Halo game has come out and people lapped it up for a few minutes. But there are people who think critically who are like, yeah, no, what if this doesn't work? Then you don't have to look like a dumbass 2 weeks later when the game's not as popular and it's already declining and its flaws are starting to show. Like, you can have, like, a calm, cool demeanor. You don't have to shit on it. Like, nobody's shitting on it here. Sir Gabriel, thanks for sticking around, dude. Okay. Alright. We'll leave Noah alone now. Go ahead and ask your last few questions. I'm going to get off here in 10-15 minutes. I will not be playing another match. That was the most average gameplay you've all probably seen. No, I'm not queuing for a game. I'm going to get off. I'm just going to answer a couple questions. Yeah, imagine having, like, a godly voice for your game and thinking, let's synthesize the fuck out of that. Yeah, that'll be good. Let's put it through a blender. A technological Tron blender. Even what if Infinite's live service does not last a decade or even 5 years? Well, I think Phil Spencer has already said that Halo's future will continue regardless of if Infinite is a success or not. So I think you just would see another game. I think you'd see a game that looked at, if this game failed, they'd obviously look at why it failed, and if it fails, I think it would probably be because it didn't have the launch content it needed, and they would maybe understand, like, hey, we've already halfway there to a classic Halo game, maybe let's go all the way there, start with that in day one, and make sure it has all the pieces around it. That's what I hope for. But I also don't hope for the game to fail. If it succeeds for 10 years, that means people like it. And if people like it, then awesome. And even if it's not for me, I'm not going to shit on a game that is loved by millions of people for a decade. I'm not going to do it. There's games I don't personally like out there that I don't play that I'm not going to talk bad about or advocate for changes for because people like it and they like it for a reason. And I was like, I don't like Destiny. I could shit on Destiny if I wanted to for all the reasons I don't like it. But I don't because millions of people do. Strafe speed is pretty nutty, yeah. Just maybe a tad bit too nutty. That's probably one of those protein feedbacks they got. It's like, oh yeah, just fucking nutty ass strafe speed. It's like strafe speed, but the strafe speed only hurts projectile weapons. Like, good luck fucking strafing out of my assault rifle. Like, not gonna happen. I'll just melt you. Sterling says, do I think Halo 5's rec weapons should be redesigned to be their own guns, not just variants? No. I think we should try and limit redundancy in the sandbox, and variants are literally, by their design, like offshoots of existing weapons. Overall opinions of BTB, I'm not offended by it. It's a game. Y'all got 5 more minutes. Opinion on the equipment so far. I think it is really, really top heavy. There are a couple that are really cool that add a lot to the game, and then there are a couple that are just like, why are you here? Doesn't do anything. Like, it feels so inconsequential and so insignificant in the design. And then you have weapons like Grapple Hook, which is like, I can just completely bypass map traversal, and I can just manipulate all the physics objects. Like, you have Grapple Hook, which does like 3 kajillion things. Master Ranger, thanks for the $10. In as short a summary as possible, what do you think should be the main focus out of all the problems thus far? P.S. Love your feedback and approach to game design. What should be my biggest... What should be the biggest focus? That's interesting. I think... I hate to bring it back up, but I think they really, really need to do a deep dive on if the automatics are as healthy for the game as they think they are. Just like little tiny minutia. I think for this obviously big picture, I think they should change stuff that they just don't have time to change. But for this game, you know, they're not going to be able to have Forge on launch. They're not going to be able to have the community features that I think they should have. But just the fine-tuning, the aiming, the, you know, just like the little minutia of like how strong should the assault rifle be? Like, maybe not useless, but should it be this strong? Because maybe, honestly, I think the battle rifle is a little too easy to use on the flip side of that. So you have a battle rifle that is, in my opinion, too easy to use, and it still loses to an assault rifle. And when you put that combination together, you really have 2 guns that I think need to be worked on. And I'm a little concerned that long term, those guns are going to be compelling enough to drive, you know, engagement. Heisenbitch, $10, like the RE8 reference. A fair few of the changes Infinite introduces reminds me of when Doom Eternal introduced the microwave beam. People shat on it at launch until Quickswap Text promoted it to a campaign must-have. The microwave beam. Can you enlighten me on that one? I mean, I played Doom Eternal. Why do I not know what you're talking about? Are you talking about the, one of the alts for, like, the plasma rifle? That's what you're talking about, right? Hey, what's up, Hazop? Sorry, we're actually getting off pretty soon. Thank you guys for the $10, Master Ranger, Heisenbitch. Appreciate it. Alright, 2 more minutes for questions. Death by Hip Hop says, do I think the repulsor is useless at times? Yeah, it's super situational, but at the same time, I think its functionality is going to make it really, really good for custom games when we get Forge. again, it's like there's so many things that are just tied to that. But I think it's a good mechanic to have in the game because of its potential. When we get our hands on it, when we, the community, can play with it, and we can create game modes where we're, you know, like I could imagine like a fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender game mode where you're just on like a bunch of platforms and you're trying to like force blast people off. Like, there's going to be so much cool shit that you can do with that. Big Bird says, did I study game design in college? So I did study game design. I actually went to the Academy of Art in San Francisco for a little bit. I did not stay there very long though because they raised my tuition like immediately, like after my first couple semesters there. And so I actually decided to just kind of self-teach online. Started a YouTube channel. I've learned a lot. I've met so many people because of this channel. It's people that actually work in the industry, people who make games, and just talking with them and learning from them. I would say I've learned a lot more from them than I did at the Academy of Art itself. Lethargic Kitten, $5. Infinite's problem for me is they started at Halo 5 and worked backwards instead of starting with 3 and working forward. That's a really good point. I really like that. That's a great way of looking at it. Like, instead of deconstructing 5, they should have like reconstructed and built on top of classic Halo. That's really cool. You should pat yourself on the back for that. Halo Grunt, it's nice watching the stream, but I'm going to head out. Can't wait to see your next video on Infinite. See you later. Hey man, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Lethargic Kitten, thanks for your support. Thanks for your engagement. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, so the people I talk to primarily seem to be more mechanically driven, but a lot of other industry people I get along with, people I enjoy, and obviously they're super talented. A lot of times it feels like they start with like an idea or like a, it's like their idea comes first, and then they go, oh yeah, like, what should the game for that idea be? You know what I mean? While I think I'm more of the mindset where I have an idea for a mechanic that's really, really fun, and then I think, okay, like, what should the skin for that mechanic be? You know what I mean? So I think some people come up with the skin first. They're like, oh, like this is like a really cool idea for a world or a play space, or like, oh, that's like a really interesting story, and like obviously like tons of games do that and it's fine. And then they're like, oh, okay, like, but now what's the game? Like, how do we make that fun? And I think I'm more of the mindset where I think about the mechanic or the gameplay, and then I think, how do I contextualize that? How do I make that make sense in a world? That would be, you know, more my thought process on design personally. And a lot of the people that I listen to, that I really value their feedback, people that I send my scripts to, and I'm like, hey, is this smart? Is this good? You know, I think they think a lot like that too. There are a lot of people like that. There are a lot of people at 343 like that, honestly. Have I considered making a game? Yeah, I would prefer to do that than YouTube, personally. The Oncoming Storm. Hollow Knight was a game built starting with its gameplay mechanics. The story and lore were built around the gameplay. It's one of the biggest examples of gameplay first development I'm aware of. Well, that's really interesting, because Hollow Knight is considered like one of the best games of the last 10 years. So there's got to be something to it. Like me and some buddies, again, like industry people, we were thinking of like brainstorming an idea for a weapon, and we had like the entire weapon concept laid out, and like what it was just mattered nothing. Like, oh, you know, is it a rifle? Is it this? Is it that? Like, we didn't even like know what the gun was. We just had like the idea for what it would do mechanically, and then we started thinking about like what its coding, like what its aesthetic would be, how it would be conveyed to the player. And I think a lot of times it's the other way around. I think a lot of times it's like, man, we should have a guy with like this really cool looking, you know, bow and arrow, and then it's like, okay, but like now how should the bow and arrow work? It's really just a little flit. Oh, cool, some spam. Awesome. This name says, so what you're saying is you base the world around the mechanics rather than the mechanics around the world. Yes, I do. Now, obviously, you can't always do that. It's like sometimes you have the world already in place. Like, you know, when CD Projekt Red started making the Witcher games, they already had a lot of that pre-baked, and then it was all about, well, okay, how do we gamify that? So it's not, you can't always do that. Halo for Metroid, the stream was really cool. Appreciate it, dude. What did you like about it? So I can keep doing more of it. Thanks for like the consistent over 100 viewers. There's a lot of other people you could watch play this flight. So thanks for choosing me. Echo Loco says, just tuned in. Do you think this BTB is significantly different or an improvement at all? Thanks for tuning in. I am about to leave, unfortunately. I don't know if it's an improvement. In fact, I would say some of the things are net negatives. I think the increased player count makes it feel a little less chaotic, or a little more chaotic. I feel like each player has less agency because there's just too many variables going on. I feel like the vehicle presence is a lot lower than I was expecting. And I feel like when you have as many players as it does, you could afford to have more vehicles. Like, I haven't seen any choppers at all. I don't even know if they're in this build. And it's just, I don't know, it feels a little interesting in that regard. Big Bird says, one last question, what's my favorite Gears game? Gears 3. At least for the multiplayer. I don't know if it's my favorite of the campaign, but it's my favorite multiplayer, for sure. Hazop says, I'm the same way. I have world first, mechanics second, but I put a lot of thought into mechanics despite that. Partly because I've always been a writer, I guess. And yeah, that's when you need more than one person. It takes more than one person to make a game. Like, you need people who are like really hyper mechanically minded, and then you have writers, and then you have world builders, and then it's like, okay, the only thing I think is that the gameplay should be the most important thing. Like, if like, oh man, I have this really awesome level, and it's like, yeah, but it's not fun gameplay wise, and I can't make that interesting gameplay wise. As opposed to like, I have a really cool level in my head regarding gameplay. Can you make that make sense in the lore? Can you make that interesting? Thanks, Big Bird. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate your engagement, interaction, discourse. I'll probably leave the stream up, sure. Alright. I think we're good. I think I answered all the questions. So, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining the stream. Thank you all for engaging with it. Thank you all for coming and asking questions. Thank you for all those who donated very generously. And I'll probably be making a couple little things. I don't really have I don't know if I'm going to do any big ones right now, because Infinite, there's so much news. It's happening so fast now leading up to launch that I just don't think I have time for like a big 40-minute video that's probably going to be obsolete in a couple days. You know what I mean? Like before I could finish it. So I think I'm just going to start with like little vignettes, little micro topics talking about each little tiny thing. And then when Infinite finally drops, I'll have a full analysis on it, and then we'll start getting into some of my big videos that are more just Halo in general and not necessarily Infinite specific. So that is the plan. Appreciate everybody being here. Have a great night, and enjoy your evenings. Thank you. Time for bed.